Okay, let's take a look at this. The problem I see right now is we've got our white application and we've got our white about dialog, and it's not really easy to see where one starts and one stops. Let's see how we can modify that a little bit. Let me close this. Yeah, we'll come and fix that button later. It's not real useful to have a button that says button. Most people are kind of confused by what that might do. So let me close that, close my window, and let's make some more changes here. Now, before I make any other changes, I want to make sure I come out of animation mode. Because remember, while we're in animation, any properties apply to the animation. That's not what I want. I want to modify the scene itself. And before I do anything else, I want to select all of my letters, and I want to lock them. I selected them so that I can see very easily which ones still need to be locked. Now that nothing is selected, all of my letters are locked, so I can't accidentally drag them, move them around, or anything like that. I'm going to switch back to the design workspace since I'm not working with animation anymore. And let's change my window itself. I'm going to click on the window, and if we look over in the property inspector, up at the top we can see that our background is white. Well, I want to do something a little bit different there. Let's use a linear gradient brush. Let's rotate it around a little bit. I'm going to create an extra gradient stop here, and I'm going to take this gradient stop and move it to 0%. I don't like this gray, so let's go with, let's say a light blue. And now, if you look down at the bottom right, you can see that the background of my design surface shows through. That means that a portion of my about dialog is actually going to be transparent, and I can see through it to the application underneath. Let me show you how this looks. When I hit help, you can see that at the bottom right, well, actually it's not really easy to see because of where it falls, but when I move my window underneath it and switch back to my about dialog, you can see that that portion of the about dialog is actually semi-transparent, so you can see right through it, right down to your desktop. Okay, this is starting to look a lot more like what I'm looking for an about dialog. Let me just add a little bit more text so that people know, well, who created it and so on. I'm going to create a text block again. I'm going to drag it out and just add the usual text. Designed by, and add my name, and then now, as I type my text, the scroll bar has appeared, but that's because the editor is giving me a little bit more spacing as I type it out so I can see everything. Once I switch back to the selection tool, everything is laid out more like I want. I want to change the foreground, obviously, to white so that it's actually visible. And I want to center my text. So I'm going to scroll down to the text category and change the justification. Now I've got my about dialog, I've got my application, and the two know how to interact with each other. Let me fix that button really quick. I really don't like how that looks. So I'm going to right-click it, and just like we did before, I'm going to edit the template on the button. In this case, I want to make sure I create my resource in this document, in the aboutdialog.xaml. That way, any buttons or controls that I create don't conflict with the ones in Window 1. I could alternatively save these resources in the application level. That way, the resource that I create there could be used in either one of my windows. Press OK here. Let's go ahead and actually start editing. Let's zoom in on my button so I can see what I'm working with a little bit better. Let's get rid of that chrome. Add in a grid. Make it activated. Drop a rectangle in there. Adjust the rotation of the corners so it looks a little bit friendlier. Let's give it a fill. We use a radial gradient here. Transform it a little bit. Change my colors. Let me grab another rectangle in the middle. Get rid of my rounding on that one. Skew it. Copy, paste, and flip it. Select both of those, combine them into a single object, give them a solid fill, and now just like that, we've gone ahead and restyled the button. As you get more used to the commands within Blend, you can see how quickly and easily you can modify your controls to look however you want. In fact, I'm even going to go one step further, add a property trigger. When is mouse over, I'm going to take that rectangle and lighten up the gradient a little bit. So now, press F5 to run, bring up my About dialog, and when I mouse over, the X even lightens up. That's all you need to do to create your own buttons. There's one last thing I want to fix before I'm, well, done with the word game, and that's the fact that up here at the title bar it says Window 1. Well, that's not very useful. So let me close this. Let me go back here, switch to my window, select the window, and go into my properties. One of the properties on a window is the title bar, and I can just change that to Word Game. And that completes our Word Game. So with that quick change, press F5, and now you can see up on the title bar Word Game. So now I can hit Game, I can start my new game, I can type text down here.
Great.
I hear my audio clips, my values are displayed for me.
Very good. Bad.
I have different audio clips based on whether the word is good, long, short, and so on. And once the timer runs out, it won't allow me to do anything else. And I have my About dialog that shows my user who created it with this flashy animation and custom controlled button. That's all for now.